Yo, what's good, everyone? Today I'm going to be swapping over the top hats from the stock OEM struts on the 3000 GT, and I'm going to put the OEM top hats on the Maxpeedingrods, because if you look, there's it's like a solid 3.5 finger gap on the rear. That's as low as it goes. On the front there's like 2 fingers, which is not bad. Here's a little sand. So when you open the trunk here, there's going to be like a little panel here, and you take off these 2 screws, pop that off. If you have the privacy cover thing, you're gonna have to pop that out. And then this is the OEM strut. This is, well, the top hat part of it. And basically what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to take this nut off first. That way I don't have to use the spring compressor. So I'll take the nut off first and then jack the car up. Hopefully it will fall down. But if not, I will have to, the bottom portion where it goes into the knuckle, I'll probably have to like hammer it off, and maybe it'll shoot up. Hopefully it doesn't, but I'm gonna get this nut off now and then work on getting the whole strut out. Okay, so I got the coilover taken apart here, and this is the Maxpeedingrods, and then I've got my pieces here from the OEM strut. So you're gonna pull the whole, or you're gonna pull the, here's how it looks. So it's like that when it's in the car. You're gonna pull this nut off, take this nut off, take this washer off while it's still in the car. And then you're gonna take the bottom bolt out for the OEM strut, and then take these top ones out. So it'll all come apart, and you'll have your bolt and your washer that goes on top. You'll have this bushing that goes on top, and then you'll have the top hat itself. Underneath your top hat, you're gonna have this sleeve with this washer, and that goes in there like that. And basically this goes on top and it sandwiches it. So this is basically, in between this would be the top hat, and then you have this, that the cushion for the spring to sit on. So those are the parts you're going to need. You're not going to be using the nut or the washer. And so here's the coilover taken apart. Now normally the way it sits is, if I can get it, it's about like that. If you look at the middle, it's a little bit higher than the studs, but that's how it sits. So if you think about it, where it's sitting at right now, I mean, is how it normally sits. But if you take this off, and I'm gonna have to take the spring off for this. You're gonna put the OEM top hat on. This isn't how it's gonna sit, but it's gonna be something like that. So it's gonna be about 1 inch. The rod's gonna be 1 inch higher, the shock. It's going to be 1 inch higher into the body. So where it mounts up to the body is lower, which makes the whole like coilover where it bolts up to, it's gonna make it shorter. So when it's shorter, you're gonna have, it's gonna basically lower the car some more. So I'm gonna put all of this together, and then I'm basically gonna recap. I have to loosen these so I can lower the spring down, so I can get everything together properly. And then I'll basically show again how I'm gonna do it. Oh, another thing I forgot to mention, this sleeve here, that these bushings that hold the bushings together, you won't be using the sleeve, you'll be using the bushings itself. So the first bushing will go on like that from the OEM strut, and then you're gonna need, these are the bushings that the coilovers came with. Take the sleeve out of the bushing. Now you can lube it up however you want, but I'm just gonna like kind of force it into these, into the OEM bushings. Now this only goes on one way, so you have to make sure, see, it goes all the way on this way, but this way it doesn't go all the way on because it's tapered. So make sure that goes on the right way. And then, yeah, so I'm gonna throw this all together and then recap. All right guys, so it's the next day and I threw the coilover with the stock top hat together, but it wasn't exactly where I wanted it to be in terms of how low it was. If you can see right here, it was about right here, about a 3-finger gap. It only lowered it maybe a half an inch, and I was expecting it to be more than that, especially since you had to remove one of the collars to have everything fit together. And so I at least want to be tucking tire, just a little bit of tire. Now this side I've already done, what I'm about to explain, I've already done it to this side, and the car is jacked up on the other side. That's why it looks kind of high right now, but this has the potential to go really low. I took apart my other coilovers that I had for my Accord just to look at the shock bodies, and all of Maxpeedingrods shock bodies are universal. They're all the same. So the other ones have the adjustable dampening and these ones don't. I left these shock bodies because these are original to the car. I didn't want to have adjustable rears and the front not be adjustable. So while looking at that, I figured out that you could use the OEM top hats for a 94, 97 Accord. It doesn't matter if it's a coupe or a sedan, it doesn't matter the year, 94 through 97. They all have the same rear struts, and these actually come, the Maxpeedingrods top hats for that car, for the Accord, fit without any modification. But to use the OEM top hats, you're gonna have to drill out some of the holes, or this hole just a little bit. This way, you're gonna have to drill out this area just a tiny bit, and then it'll be able to fit. And as you can see, it does hit the trim. The top of the shock hits the trim here. I'm just gonna cut this. You can put extra spacers, which I'm about to show you, if you want to alleviate that. So right here, where the end of this is basically, this washer here is where your top hat's going to sit. So if you want to raise, basically make this lower, you're going to want to put another washer, and I have another washer here. You can put another washer if it'll fit, and then that'll fix that problem. But I'm fine with it. I'd rather have extra space to go lower if I want to. So what you're gonna need is basically your Maxpeedingrod strut. You're gonna have to take off 2 of the collars and then use just the collar for the spring to sit on. So you need that. You're gonna need the spring that goes to it, and then you're gonna need the bottom cup that goes to it. You're gonna need this, I kind of want to say it's a retaining pin for the bushings, or a retaining sleeve or something. This basically goes in and it sits on this, and then these bushings, it will be inside this bushing and this bushing. These 2 bushings are from the 94, 97 Accord top hat. So you'll need these 2 bushings, but you'll need this sleeve that's from the Maxpeedingrod strut. And then you'll need the nut and the washer that goes to this strut. The only things you're reusing is this and the bushings, and then everything else is going to be specific to the coilover itself. So it's pretty simple. If you don't know how to put together a coilover, you just get your strut, and then it's kind of difficult to record, but you put your string on top, or your spring on top, and the spring doesn't sit all the way down because it's hitting the bump stop, because I have it too far low down. But you're gonna need it down at first in order to fit the top hat, and then you can set your preload. So I don't have it together, but it would go, you would put this on, and then you would put the sleeve, but I would put the sleeve inside of the bushing first. It is a tight fit, but it does fit. And then this top hat can go on. And then you don't have to put this on. You put this on last. Just the bottom bushing and the sleeve should be together first, and put them on at the same time, and then put the top one on. And then the top one, it will get smushed. It'll get smushed by the washer and the nut. As you tighten it, it'll clamp everything down together. You want to make sure that's tight. And then after that, put the cup on, and you want to bring the spring up as much as you can. With this setup, you actually will sacrifice your lower cup adjustment for your spring length. So in order for you to get full, like if you want to go any more lower than this, you will have to cut your spring, or you will have to buy aftermarket springs like Power 326 springs or Swift springs that are shorter but the same spring rate. And then you'll be able to adjust your cup fully up, because the way it is you have like maybe like probably about here is where the collar's going to be, but then you still have all of this adjustment left for your cup. So if you want to get any lower than this, you will have to cut your spring, or you will have to buy an aftermarket spring. But I'm going to cut the springs, and I'm going to get aftermarket springs later. But I'm going to throw this together and throw it on the car and show you guys how it looks without cutting the springs or anything, just the 94, 97 Accord top hats, and then however much I can adjust it. All right guys, so I have the coilover strut assembly put together. So this collar is basically about as tight as I can get it by hand, seating the spring basically. And I've got everything up here tight, and basically this is now the mounting point is I kind of want to say 4 inches lower. So the shock will be 4 inches higher up into the body of the car, which will basically bring the whole knuckle up higher into the wheel well. And so here's what I was saying about the cups. So the cup, this is how much adjustment I have. So it's probably about 2 inches, 2.5 inches. So I'm looking at it here, and it's only an inch and a quarter. So basically, I think only cutting, man, I don't even know, maybe cutting like half a coil. I think I'm only gonna cut half, because I think that'll give me enough room. So I'm gonna do like a cut here and see how much lower it'll go. But it's basically, I'm gonna throw it on the car and show how it looks. All right, so this is how it looks now. It's definitely where I want it. Just barely tucking tire. This side is about the same. That side is just a smidge lower, but it looks pretty good. Oh dude, it definitely looks great. The front can actually, like, the front goes really low, so I can always adjust the front to be super low. But the rears, they never went low. But wow, it can actually go, it can go a decent amount lower than this. If I cut the spring, it can go a decent amount lower. It's not bad. Looks pretty good. The next day, after I did the coilovers and I matched the fronts up to the rear, I got everything together. Just wanted to say real quick, I took them apart and I put the bigger washer in, so it has the small shim, and then it has a big washer on top of the small shim. And that's because the rubber bushing was actually falling through that little shim. So make sure you guys put like a big enough washer. But yeah, I got the preload set, and then I put everything back together, set the preload, set my height where it's at. I still have no collars. With the preload where it's at, I could fit a collar, and but I eventually want to get smaller springs or shorter springs, Swiss springs, and then put the collars back on, and then that'll give me, you know, just the more adjustability, because right now it's kind of where it's at is kind of where it's set. So I'm going to show in the back there is some noise from the rubber bushings on the rubber bushings that sandwich the top hats. All right, so I did make some clearance here to fit where the bolt is. So I cut here, and I want to clearance these as well because these don't fit. But I want to get a grinder before I do that, so I can do it flush. But this is how it sits. I did a little bit of clearancing to get them to sit and not rub on anything. But this is how it looks. They do make some noise. Now I think that is due to preload, and I think if I do my preload up just a little more, it might get rid of that like bushing noise. You really don't hear it when the car is, you know, driving a decent speed. You only really hear it on like technical slow speed turns and stuff like that. But other than that, it's pretty much solid. Yeah, this is how it sits. Got it's pretty much flush. When you're looking at it from an angle, it doesn't look flush, but it is like I can fit my finger between the tire and the fender, so it's pretty flush. This side is the same. I'm surprised that the height is the same, but it's the same here. Lower the front a little bit too. Now the front isn't as low as the rear, but I'm okay with where it's sitting at. I can lower the front more. I just don't want to because I am rubbing a little bit. This side is actually sitting lower than that side. And that might be because of the ground that I'm on. But yeah, it's sitting pretty clean. Honestly, this car looks so much better than the black one. All right, I gotta keep the outro short because my phone's gonna die. But yeah, that's basically it on lowering your car with OEM top hats. Now this works on any car. All of the struts seem to be the same for the bottom tier Maxpeedingrods, like the cheapest ones you can get. They all seem to be the same and universal. So if you have an extra set of struts, you know, try it out and see what happens. Maybe you can make other struts work. I'm not too sure, but yeah. So let me know what you guys want to see. Like the video if you liked the video, or if I helped you out in any way, or you know, if you learned anything new. And drop a comment. Let me know what you guys want to see. Let me know your thoughts on this coilover setup and how it looks so far. Subscribe if you want to see more 3000 GT content.